Welcome to the October 8th, 2025 Issaquah Candidate Forum, hosted by the Issaquah Branch of American Association of University Women and the Kiwanis Club of Greater Issaquah. We thank the City of Issaquah for recording the forum. I am Vicki McCorkindale, and with me is Judy Rogers, your moderators for tonight. Please take a moment to silence your phones for everyone's comfort. Tonight, we will hear from 7 candidates for Issaquah City Council and then 4 candidates for Issaquah School Board.
The forum will begin with a 2-minute opening statement from Barbara DeMichelle, who is running unopposed. Then there will be 2-minute opening statements from all other candidates. During the question and answer period, each candidate will have 1 minute for responses. Because of the number of candidates, there will not be a rebuttal. Our timer is Kathleen Friedman. She's sitting up here in the front row and will raise a warning when 15 seconds remains and a stop signal when time is up.
The questions have been formulated by the organizing committee and gathered from the community. The candidates have not been given the questions in advance. We may choose to ask a follow-up question. We will alternate who will respond first to each question.
So before we begin, I have some housekeeping items. We ask audience that you hold your applause until the end of the forum. Also, please be aware that you may hear remarks from the candidates in which you disagree. This forum is not for the audience to refute what is said by the candidates. Please be an informed voter and do your own fact-checking in making your decisions. So now, let's get started. We'll have our 2-minute by Barbara DeMichelle.
You're welcome to start, Barbara.
Thank you so much. Hello, everybody. My name is Barbara DeMichelle. I'm running for position number 3 on the Issaquah City Council, and I'm running unopposed. Before I talk about me, I do want to acknowledge that Tola Martz sends his regrets for not being here. Councilmember Martz is also running unopposed. He's the city representative to the Sound Cities Association and was needed to be at their meeting tonight. It's been a great honor to represent you for the past 6 years. And in 2019, I ran on a platform of support for affordable housing, for transportation improvements, and human services. I'm proud of the fact that the council has made great progress in all of these areas. And just a few highlights over the last 6 years, we've been working on and we expect to break ground on the TOD OC project in 2026, and that will provide 250 units of affordable housing in central Issaquah. We brought Metroflex to Issaquah, providing short trip and first mile, last mile transit services to our residents. And my biggest area of pride is the fact that we have a much bigger footprint for human services than we had in 2019. And I'm especially proud of our 2 behavioral health specialists that are embedded with the police department. So for a full list of things that I'd like to talk about but don't have time, you can go to my website, which is www.barbdemichelleforcouncil.com. I am running for another term because there's still so much to do. We can strive together to ensure that Issaquah remains a well-run, vibrant, and welcoming place for all. Even though I'm running unopposed, I will be honored to have your votes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Barb. We're now going to bring the other candidates up.
Okay. Our candidates tonight for position 1, Chris Reachley and Kelly Zhang. Position 5, Russell Joe, Diego Magalhaes. Position 6, Katya Zakharov and Kevin Nichols. And as Barbara already mentioned, Tola could not be here tonight. So in order to keep the forum friendly, as Issaquah is, we will use only first names going forward.
We're going to start with our 2-minute statement, starting on my left here. Chris.
Thank you, Vicki. And first of all, I want to thank the AAUW and the Greater Issaquah Kiwanis Club, the Spirit of Issaquah, for hosting tonight and all the public that are present and on virtually. My name is Chris Richley, and I'm running for Issaquah City Council Position 1 to ensure that Issaquah's growth strengthens and enhances our community and not strains it. As I worked and lived in Issaquah for over a decade, I've seen firsthand how our actual community needs and what their challenges are, from traffic, public safety to keep up, our infrastructure, our schools, you name it, I've seen it. I've currently served as the chair of the Economic Vitality Commission for the past 5 years, where I've strengthened our economic vitality and the economic development of the city, as well as serving on the Board of Trustees for the Issaquah Highlands Council and Treasurer, fostering community engagement and strengthening our communication across the city. Issaquah is growing, it already has, and it's continuing to grow. And with that, my platform is looking at public safety, preserving the quality of life that we have right now in Issaquah, and growing in the right terms. I have 20 years over of banking experience and leadership experience, having actually led high-performing teams and member service through transparency, action, and listening. And that's the same platform I will have on council. Our city I see is as a service provider. We need to provide public safety. We need to make sure that our infrastructure investments, our maintenance, and we have physical sustainability, and our money is spent right. As I door knock throughout the community, I've heard a lot about transparency and knowing where our tax dollars go and making the most impact. I will be the first to say that I don't know everything, and that's okay, but I do know how to ask questions, bring the right people to the table to talk and collaborate. That's what I've already been doing for the last 5 years, and that's what I'll continue to do on council. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Now we'll have Kelly.
Great. Thanks, Vicki and Judy, as well as to the AAUW and the Kiwanis of Issaquah for organizing this forum. It's great to be here tonight with y'all, and thanks for spending your Wednesday evening with us. My name is Kelly Jang, and it's been an honor to serve as your newest city council member for the city of Issaquah since I was appointed in February of this year. And now I'm running to retain my seat. My top priorities as your city council member are to get traffic moving, maintain public safety, support small businesses, protect the environment, and ensure our growth accounts for essential infrastructure. As your city council member, I've already been immersed in these issues, from voting to preserve affordable homes for people with disabilities, to work on our transit-oriented development, which will provide 155 affordable homes paired with human services right next to our transit center, as well as support land conservation in Issaquah. I've also been a strong advocate for making sure that we actually build the infrastructure that we need for our growth. Our schools are overcrowded. We need schools near where people live, including in the Issaquah Highlands, and I've really been championing that effort and will continue to do so on council. I think, over the last 20 years, Issaquah has really grown a lot, especially up in Tallis and the Issaquah Highlands. The Issaquah Alps Trails Club, which I've had the honor of being the board president of, has actually played a huge part in this growth, ensuring that we actually build denser housing paired with land conservation. 2,000 acres of Grand Ridge Park were conserved as part of the Issaquah Highlands development, and this is conservation legacy that we need to continue building on, ensuring that we have the services that people need close to where they live. And also, one of the greatest amenities that we have here in Issaquah really is our vibrant trail network, which is one of the reasons why I chose to live in Issaquah. And to continue this work moving forward, I will support acquiring additional lands for conservation and working with city staff to implement our climate action plan in the most cost-effective way possible. I look forward to sharing more about my thoughts on different issues throughout this forum, and I hope to earn your support.
Thank you, Kelly. Now we'll hear from Russell.
Thank you. First, thanks to AAUW and the Kiwanis for putting this forum together. I've lived in Issaquah for 30 years, and I've had the pleasure of serving on council for 12 of those years. When I first started on council, this city was 9,900 people. I could meet everybody on the street, and I could meet everyone doorbelling. Now the city is 40,000 people, but I still need to be aware and listen to everything that's going on in the city. As I've talked to people during this re-election campaign for position number 5, 3 things have come to light for me. While Seattle certainly is a major league city with Major League Baseball and playoff crackling in the air, playoff excitement, I want Issaquah to be a AAA city. And the people have told me they want it to be a AAA city by being affordable, the service is available, and the service is accessible. So in my time on City Council in the last 12 years, I've tried to keep services affordable by keeping our taxes low, making the fees that we take in collected wisely and saved wisely, and then making those services available by investing wisely, buying things when we can afford them, and using the collaboration with our partners to make those prices reasonable for us so that we can have those amenities. But all of that doesn't matter unless they're accessible. Accessible by everybody, people with disabilities, those of us that are getting older, those of us that need some extra assistance, whether that is because of a handicap or disability, or even just because we're getting a little bit older. That altogether is something that I want to work for, is to make us a AAA city by making it affordable, available, and accessible. I hope to talk more about those topics when I answer additional questions during this forum. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Russell. Now we'll hear from Diogo.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for being such a welcoming community, first and foremost. And thank you, everyone, for organizing this event. It's so important for all voters to be informed. I know I'm the wild card in this election somewhat. I've lived in Issaquah just for over a year. You might be asking, why am I running then? I, like many of you, I've come to love this city. And so that's reason number one. And reason number two, like many of you, I'm concerned about the challenges that we face locally, but beyond our community as well, that trickle down and impact our day-to-day life. I firmly believe that local government is still our best last hope to engage in collegial and collaborative dialogue with one another. I have to praise the current council. I've seen their YouTube meetings. I've gotten to know most of them. I think we're very lucky to have our representatives and their values. And I hope to bring my own experiences and expertise to help our city. I lead with empathy, compassion, and a strong desire for sustainable solutions. I welcome you to visit my website. I write a lot about my values and my thoughts. I answer any and all questions that you might have. I will always do that. I'm not seeking campaign donations because I think there's far too much money in politics. And I'll end with gratitude. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Diogo. Now we have Katya.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you to AAUW and Kiwanis that I'm a part of for organizing this meeting. My name is Katya Zakharov, and I'm your candidate for position 6 on Issaquah City Council. I am a first-generation immigrant that has become a proud U.S. citizen almost 15 years ago. I've been running a small business here in Issaquah and on the east side for about 2 decades now. 5 years ago, I've chose Issaquah as my home. I have earned my master's in business administration degree, and this training combined with my real-life business experience is what shapes the way I think about important issues for our city. During my campaign, I have personally knocked on over 6,000 doors across all of our precincts. And I've met with so many of our residents and business owners, and we've been chatting about all the things that are important for us, like our homes, our roads, our trees, the safety, our traffic, and how we can combine responsible growth with what makes Issaquah special. And I want you to know this. As your council member, I will continue visiting homes and businesses to make sure our city actually works for its residents. Today, I serve as your Planning Policy Commissioner, and in this role, I've seen both the challenges and the opportunities our city has. I'm proud to be supported by so many of our residents, our business community, both Mayor Pauly and former Mayor Butler, and of course our firefighters, because they know I put community first. Together is the central word of my campaign, because I believe that only together we can build Issaquah into a city that we all love while preparing it well for the future. I'm here this evening so you get to know me better. I'm asking for your support and for your vote next month. Thank you.
Thank you, Katya. And now we'll hear from Kevin.
Also, thank you to all the organizers, AAUW, Kiwanis, and everybody who's here tonight. Thank you for joining us. My name is Kevin Nichols. I am a scientist, father of 2 kids in Issaquah schools. Thank you guys for coming tonight. And Issaquah has been my family's home for almost a decade and a half. Like many of you, my family picked Issaquah for its incredible trails, excellent schools, and amazing community. I'm running because I believe Issaquah stands at a crossroads. While there are so many awesome things about Issaquah, the decisions we make today will define what kind of community we leave for the next generation. My background as a PhD scientist gives me a unique perspective. When the pandemic hit, my research group developed one of the very first COVID tests you could take at home. So you're welcome, and I'm also sorry. But what I learned was that we had to build partnerships across government, business, and communities to make that happen. That's what we need in Issaquah today to solve our biggest problems, because we can't tackle the community's biggest problems or reach our fullest potential alone. Over the past months, I've knocked on thousands of doors. I've heard your stories about commutes getting longer, about kids who can't afford to live in Issaquah as adults, about teachers and firefighters who serve our community but can't afford to live in it. But most importantly, I've also heard overwhelming optimism and a belief in a bright future. I believe in that bright future too, and I'm humbled to have earned support from the Sierra Club, City Council members Kelly Zhang, Tola Martz, Zach Hall, and Council President Lindsay Walsh, as well as King County Council member Sarah Perry, State Representatives Hall and Callan, School Board members Matt Coyne and AJ Taylor, amongst other regional leaders. I'm also proud to be endorsed by all the local Democratic organizations, as well as to be the recommended candidate of the Progressive Voters Guide. I'm asking for your vote to help build Issaquah's future together.
Thank you. We are now going to start the question and answer portion. If you need to have a question repeated, we are welcome to do that. And then we're going to start with Kelly with her response first. So as we said, we're not going to have the same person, answer each question first. So we're going to alternate around. So in 2019, the city strategic plan identified 3 priorities. And now in 2025, there are 5 goals. The 3 priorities from 2019 were mobility or transportation, growth and development, and environmental stewardship. Since then, these 2 new priorities have come into play. They've been added: social and economic vitality, city leadership and services, and infrastructure. Which is the most important to you personally, and how will you make a difference? So Kelly first.
Great, thank you. I feel like I have a bit of an unfair advantage because I was actually on the Mayor's Strategic Plan Task Force, where I got to be on the team for growth and development and environment. And so, I'm obviously biased towards those, and I really do think growth and development is key to the future of the city of Issaquah, and it's inextricably tied in with everything else. So in terms of growth and development, that includes, the zoning that we have. It includes figuring out, where people can live, what types of buildings we build, and also what types of businesses and services we have for people. It also includes making sure that, infrastructure keeps up with that growth. And so earlier this year, I was honored to be able to vote to approve our new sewer plan, which basically shows that given our expected growth over the next 20 years, actually there's only really 2 places where we're going to, need to put in bigger sewer pipes to make sure that we don't have issues. So I'm proud to, be working on making sure that our infrastructure is able to keep up with that growth as we need more growth to support our growing community.
Thank you, Kelly. Russell?
Thank you. As I was looking at that question, I think mobility is probably the most important one for me. But that's mobility for you in the city to get to where you need to go. It doesn't necessarily mean going down I-90, 90 miles an hour. But one of the things that I worked on was the underpass by the post office in my last years in office in 2007. That's been a great artery for us to get from one side of the freeway to another so we can get our kids to school and get back to Costco, back and forth. And so that mobility within the city is an important element, as I see it, for our future and the livability for us here in Issaquah. We're working on an overpass or underpass over 90, another one that's associated with the terminus for sound transit. I hope to be able to be a leader in that in the next 4 years as we try to make that a reality for our citizens as well to move within the city. Thank you.
Thank you, Russell. Diogo?
Thank you, everyone. So for me, it would be infrastructure because as all of you know, our beautiful city our growth has vastly outpaced our infrastructures. Since 2010, our population has increased over 30%. We did not keep pace with that vast appeal that led many people to find us and to come and live in our beautiful city. So for me, infrastructures would be the priority. And I tie that with sustainability. For me, sustainability is not merely environmental sustainability, but it's socioeconomic sustainability that is tied to living wages, reasonable rents, and having infrastructures and solutions that can solve mental health issues, mental health crises, and other public issues.
Thank you, Diego. Katya?
Can I ask you to repeat the question now? Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. In 2019, the city strategic plan identified 3 priorities, and now in 2025, there are 5 goals. The 3 priorities from 2019 are mobility or transportation, growth and development, and environmental stewardship. Since then, these 2 new ones are social and economic vitality, city leadership and services, and infrastructure.
Thank you so much. So to me, the most important would be the growth. And this is something that we've been working on Planning Policy Commission by updating our Title 18s to create more housing diversity and to actually launching Central Issaquah Pioneer Program and to begin preparation for our light link and transportation development connected to it. We've invested in sidewalks, we've invested in crosswalks, and we've invested in bike connections. But the most important part is what we've done so far is preparation steps. And what we have to proceed with, it was a groundwork. What we have to proceed with is an actual implementation of those steps that we've been discussing on the commission. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Katya. Now, Kevin.
For me, the priority is definitely infrastructure. There's 3 things that I would want to prioritize amongst infrastructure as well. One, I think we finally have to complete some of the things that we promised the community for a very long time, but haven't delivered on. Sidewalks on Squawk come to mind for me. They've been on our list forever, but they keep not quite making it to the top and not quite getting built. Second, power infrastructure. Some of you may remember the little bomb cyclone that we had a few months ago. I see some nods, yep. So if we had built out all of the infrastructure from a power perspective that was planned originally when we built out the Highlands, for example, PSC thinks we might not have had any power outages at all, or at worst case, it would have been a heck of a lot shorter. We need to push that through and make sure that the city is actively fighting for and making sure that there's no barriers to building the power infrastructure we need. Finally, wildfire evacuation routes. In the Highlands, estimates are that it could take up to 4 hours to get out. That is infrastructure that can save people's lives, and it's something that we desperately need to prioritize as a city.
Thank you, Kevin. And now, Chris.
Well, also having served on the economic vitality or the actual strategic plan task force, mayor appointed as the vice chair, I've had the privilege of also actually sitting in every one of the actual groups throughout that process, working with our fellow council members, working with our community members that were involved in that. And what I look at is the social and economic vitality is very important, as well as the infrastructure. Without our actual business community, there is no community. Without our infrastructure that keeps up with our public safety, there is no infrastructure. The infrastructure is stretched enough. But also what I learned, also while door knocking and being in that strategic plan task force, is accountability. Our community deserves to know that what we do promise, what we do need to get done, is accountability to get these see it actually get to the finish line with the infrastructure. And that's something that I will do to look at to keep these plans alive, and proud of this to sit on that actually as a strategic plan task force vice and on the economic vitality. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. The next question is, what motivated you to run for this office? And we're going to start with Russell on this one.
In 1999, when I first ran, I was young, idealistic, didn't have gray hair. I thought I could change the world. I thought I was smart enough to take on the challenges that we were facing in transportation, in growth, water. Now, as I sit here in 2025, I understand that collaboration with all of our neighbors is important, whether that's Sammamish, Redmond, but collaboration with our neighbors as well in the unincorporated areas. How can we work together to solve the problems that impact all of us along the way? I still think I'm pretty smart, but I know that I need to work with everyone else along the way, and we've got a fantastic group up here of people that want to do that and want to work very hard to solve the problems and serve the city of Issaquah. I hope that I can count on your vote here in November as we go forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Russell. Diogo?
Thank you, everyone. Service. I think what led me to run was, as I mentioned before, feeling sometimes hopeless, sometimes wishing that I could make an impact. Throughout my life, I have done so in leadership positions in academic roles, in corporate roles, and in nonprofit roles. But I felt, again, I suspect like many of you, that my impact was somewhat, that I could do more. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. And no one is as invested in our success as our neighbors. I think local government is our best hope to pursuing our values and to being accountable and caring for one another. And that's why I'm running. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Diogo. Katja?
Well, to me, it was searching for answers to two of my personal questions. One of them was, despite working 6 to 7 days a week, working hard for decades, after 16 years, I could not afford to get in a small piece of property, and I saw that as a 1-bedroom or maybe 2-bedroom condo because I'm sharing it with my mom. And it was very hard. So I was looking, why is it that hard and what is not working? And turns out we have a very strict regulations actually on condos. It's getting better now, but we had very strict regulations. And second thing was same problem with my business. For decades, I was running my studio as a subcontracting business, but to actually find a brick and mortar place for my business was very hard. So I found a community of people who was sharing the same interests with me in both issues. I've started serving the community, and now I kind of like simply progressing into the next stage. Thank you.
Thank you. And now Chris? No, I'm sorry, Kevin.
So land use for me was one of the prime topics that motivated me to run. And there's 2 land use topics that I'm most passionate about. One is we need better planning for affordable housing. I'd love to have it if my kids could live here someday. And to do that, we need to enable our more affordable housing to be built and to get out of the way of that happening. The second issue that I'm very passionate about is our schools. We've had a lot of contentious debates over where do we put our schools in recent years. I think the city can be an excellent partner for the school district to help it find land, to help it find other places, whether that's Bellevue College site up in the Highlands, other places in Central Issaquah that the city could be a good partner in. But overall, the city can be a great partner to make land use easier for the school district, and I think that's something that will benefit the entire community because there's few things that tie us together as a community more than that.
Thank you. Now, Chris.
To be honest with you, I wasn't even going to run. And the reason why I did decide to run is because of the relationships that I have built over this last, I would say, 8 years. There's not a single face that I don't recognize in this. A lot of you in this I've worked with, collaborated with, talked with, met with, and actually just talked about these very subjects that we've gotten to love and know our city. And that's important to me. I'm also about continuing to build connections, and I want to continue to strengthen these connections so we can get our city to be maintain the quality of life that we have. I want to continue to build connections. I want to continue to change lives now and for generations to come. I lead with empathy, kindness, and commitment. And that's what I continue to do at work, and I will continue to do on council. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Now, Kelly.
Great, thank you. Yeah, similar to Chris here, I actually originally wasn't planning on running for city council or even going for the appointment this year. I got married earlier this year, and if any of you have planned a wedding, it's a lot of work. But thanks to encouragement from local leaders who I've had the chance to meet through my work on the Strategic Plan Task Force, as well as through the Issaquah Trails Club, especially State Senator Victoria Hunt and Issaquah Mayor Mary Lou Pauley, they really encouraged me to step up. Just given where we are in the world, we need people who have a professional background in energy engineering like me, and ecology like Senator Hunt, to actually be in positions of leadership, making decisions of how we can, continue to lead on these issues in the face of headwinds from different levels of government. Also, through my involvement with the Issaquah Alps Trails Club, I've had the chance to work with local leaders who have been involved in the community for decades, like former Councilmember David Kapler, who really, have shaped Issaquah into what it is today. And I'm honored to be able to build on that legacy as a city council member, hopefully for the next 4 years.
All right, for this next question, we're going to start with Diogo. The question is, small businesses are vital to the vibrancy of our communities. What actions do you propose to help them survive and thrive?
Not only are they essential, I think they're a reason, they're part of the identity of Issaquah, and they have helped our city become the attraction that it is. I think they have helped shape our community. I would like to support them more. I would like to see the city increase incentives for businesses, particularly those that agree to help our community by transforming their businesses or expanding their businesses into third places, which are essential for community well-being. And that there's a lot of that already happening. There's our knitting shop hosts every week at Friday, 6 or 7, I believe, a knitting corner. Those sorts of initiatives are paramount. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Diogo. Now, Katya.
Thank you. Well, this question is actually related to me because I am a small business owner for decades. And what I can say, so first of all, Issaquah is not the easiest city to start a small business in because we have a little barriers with our tax system. Business and occupation tax for us starts at $100,000 a year gross income. So it's way less than other cities around us. That is the first problem. Another problem is very easy to run the business because we have a lot of long and lengthy and permitting process. It needs to be actually streamlined. And right now it takes years to actually either open business or expand the business to the facility next door. In addition to all of the rents that are very high in our area, this is a very big hardship for businesses to open, to stay open, and to keep themselves sustainable. So there's a lot to do for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Katya. Now, Kevin.
I think there's quite a few areas where the city could do a better job supporting small businesses. One of the things that the city does a good job now with, but I'd like to see expanded, is our economic development department. These are folks that if there's a vacant storefront, they go out there and try to help fill that storefront. They talk to the community, they find what the needs are, and they help bring in new business. I'd like to expand that. Secondly, I agree wholeheartedly on expedited permitting. This is something where the city should never get in the way of people that just want to build and just want to contribute to our community. We should always be trying to reduce permitting times, permitting costs, and permitting overhead overall. So wholeheartedly agree. Third, housing. If you're a business owner in Issaquah, it can be very difficult to recruit people to live here because our cost of living is so high. Workforce housing and finally building up more of the affordable housing that we need is one of the single biggest things that I think we can do as a community to support not just our residents, not just the future residents, but the business owners who are here today who don't want to have to compete with lower cost housing outside and who will be able to be much more competitive if they can recruit without having to fight as hard.
Thank you, Kevin. Now, Chris.
Thank you. Having been the chair of the Economic Vitality Commission, I've actually had firsthand experience in actually implementing the new economic development plan that was passed recently at the beginning of this year. Three things that we focused on to highlight is one, our outdoor and recreations, which ties in our natural beauty of Issaquah. Two is our home-based businesses to get them actually on board and in front of our community to better strengthen their exposure. And three is our arts and culture. Issaquah is one of the only cities that actually has an arts and culture district. And that was important to the Economic Vitality Commission and myself as chair to get those businesses more exposure and support they need. Also, I've done and partnered with our economic development department and actually been on this committee to hire our newest economic development manager, Alexis, and worked hand in hand and will continue to work hand in hand with our economic development department on council and as your EVC chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Now Kelly.
Great, thank you. So I think in terms of supporting small business, there's kind of the whole life cycle of a small business. So for example, there might be some businesses where they can, have a stand at the farmer's market, which we've done through the homegrown retail program. That's awesome. That's actually how some of our beloved brick and mortar businesses, like the amazing Good Lazy Donut Shop up in the Highlands, started. And so, they started at the farmer's market, they were super popular, and now they have this small space up in the Highlands where they sell out of donuts every day, which is awesome. I would love to see more of that. I would love to see our new developments have, small storefronts so some of those businesses can get a foothold in their community without having to, take out a huge loan to rent out a huge space. I also think, like many of my peers here, we need to streamline permitting so that, tenant improvements can take weeks, not months or years. I think also we need to look at our regulations that could potentially be restricting the development of new commercial space. In this transit-oriented development, it came out that our 15-foot requirement for height of retail spaces could potentially make it so that it's impossible to build that in that space. And so I'd want to revisit that to get more spaces for small businesses. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly. And now Russell.
Thank you. To support our small businesses, I would focus on three things: LTAC, reduce timelines, and parking and pedestrian access. So LTAC, Lodging Tax Advisory Committee, I've been chairing that committee for the past 3 years, I think. It works on grants for businesses to bring people from more than 50 miles away to visit. It's the head and beds tax, basically. And this past cycle, we supported some things such as a trail race, a film festival, and some other activities with Salmon Days that help bring customers into the city to support our small businesses. 5290, Senate Bill 5290 was designed to reduce permit times, and we've been doing a lot of hard work on that through council. Hope to continue to reduce those times down so projects can have a better chance of succeeding. Parking, pedestrian traffic, we want to make sure that when construction goes on, we're not completely cutting off that business from its customers, keep that pedestrian traffic open, and keep parking available.
Thank you. Our next question, Katya, you'll be first. What unique experiences and perspectives can you bring to improve the budget process?
Oh, okay. So first of all, being an educated Master of Business Administration trained professional, this is one of the experiences that I can bring. I actually will be probably, I believe, the only economist on the board that compared to all other council members currently serving. If elected, that is the first thing. Another thing, I've been running a small business for over 20 years in the United States and additional 10 years in different countries. So I have this international experience of actually running business and being a big part of the economy across the board here and in other countries. That's another thing. And then, I grew up through some very tough times until I turned 18 years old. My country lived through 3 full economic collapses, and we've recovered, and I really know what it is to live through hard times, so and how to work through and recover. And right now, when we have budget constraints, and we are 12% cut this year with our budget, so I really kind of know, and I really think that I can help with that. Thank you.
Thank you. Kevin?
There's 2 areas where I would bring unique and good experience with helping with our budget. The first is, throughout my career, I've often been in positions where I've had to manage large organizations of up to 100 scientists and engineers. I've had to manage P&Ls, profits and loss, and make sure that we are able to stay within a budget while still trying to deliver what we needed to deliver. That's hard. You have to make choices. And there's oftentimes no easy way to do that without figuring out what sacrifices have to be made. And I've walked down that road many times and made it work. Another thing that I think I can bring to the table as far as budgeting is my experience as a scientist. I'm trained to look at data. This is what I do every single day. I'm also trained to look and dig deep and ask questions of everything. Never take anything for granted, and look at every single line of every single thing in a budget and ask, is this really true? Do we need to dig further? And do we need to learn more and talk more and understand more to really get to the best place that we can with a budget?
Thank you. Now, Chris.
So having 20 years of a banking experience, and I currently manage the Harborstone Credit Union up in the Highlands. Short plug for them, right? I manage over $50 million in deposits with a team of that. So looking at complex budgets, small budgets, household budgets, business life cycles, I've seen it all. And I think the biggest thing that I can get out of this is staying curious with our members. It's about them. It's not about us. So they're really, when I go door knocking, the community's asking for transparency around what are my dollars actually paying for and what are they impacting? And I believe that we have an opportunity as a city to provide that platform. Yes, we have it maybe in buried PDFs, but it needs to be a platform that's easy to understand, better to communicate. And as a council member, I will continue to go out because that's my everyday job, is talk to people about their finances. So if the banking background is definitely there, and my small business background to know that as well. And that's what I'll bring to council.
Great. Thank you. Now, Kelly.
Great, thank you. So my experience that's relevant to budgeting and finance is that in my day job, I'm an energy engineer, but I actually specifically work with large financial institutions on green lending. So my company, Bright Power, we actually do measurement and verification for Fannie Mae's green loan program, which has issued over $100 billion in green mortgage-backed securities. And through that, we do a lot of work with affordable housing as well. So I have a lot of familiarity with, how does affordable housing actually get built? How many, what are all the different types of financing streams that we have to put together? And as we're figuring out, how do we build affordable housing in our community, I can leverage my experience with, communities around the country that have done similar things to make sure we're doing things here in Issaquah the right way and maximizing the value of our local tax dollars for affordable housing. Another thing is that I am also very curious and ask a ton of questions, especially on finance. And so I actually recently got to participate in our hiring process for our new finance director, Kristen Garcia, who's been amazing so far. And so I'm excited to work closely with her as we figure out, our new mid-biennium budget, as well as, the next biennial budget for 2027 to 28.
I think the unique experience that I bring forward in the budget process is flexibility, creativity, and accountability. So when I look at a budget, people have come to me and asked, can we get this in the next year or the next 2 years? I try to find a way to be flexible with the money that we have, to find creative solutions so that we can maybe start that project as a pilot or maybe pay for half of it initially, so that we can deliver to the community and be accountable to the community for the projects that they're asking for and the results that they're asking for along the way. So flexibility, creativity, and accountability are unique budget aspects and skills that I bring to the table. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Diogo?
Thank you. So I have been teaching law for over 10 years. I have a PhD in law, and I love doing research. I try to approach any challenge through research, through being as informed as I possibly can be. But I've also, throughout my life, have had leadership positions in, as I mentioned before, in private companies, whether managing $1 billion client portfolio for a private aviation company, which I'm glad I no longer work for, or launching a nonprofit for ethical corporate governance, so swing to the other side of the pendulum. My skills, or my unique skills, is especially with regards to budgeting, which I have managed several, input, listening, feedback, transparency, and collegiality. Thank you.
For this next question, we're going to start with Kevin. Homelessness is still a pressing issue. How can the state, county, and city governments collaborate to fund tiny homes or low-cost housing in our cities?
I'm always heartbroken to hear about the unhoused people in our community, and I think it's something that we need to figure out how to all join up together to do a better job with. I am at the state level. I think there's things like House Bill 2015 that allows us to utilize resources to fund mental health co-responders in better ways that we aren't able to right now, to increase those services and to better fund the folks in our Parks Department, for example, who are out there every day doing that hard work of finding people that are in these situations, connecting them with care, and allowing them to best integrate with the community in a situation that is very, very, very difficult. So I'd like to make sure that we're applying for grants so we can, whenever we possibly are able to, utilizing things like HB 2015 to better fund our Parks Department, which is where our mental health services live, and make sure that we're doing the very best job that we can for the unhoused folks in our community.
All right, Chris?
So I'm going to look at this as far as a banker, because that's what I do, is asking, first of all, how did we get in the situation that they're in? When I look at homelessness, there's got to be a root cause for it, whether it's financially, whether it's mentally, that's all tied together. So when I think about the programs that the city already has, such as the Motel 6 program that got cut during the last budget talks, we still have our social mental health workers that actually work hand in hand with our Issaquah Police Department, and having a 9-hour ride along with them, really talking about how did that make an impact on their lives. That's been a tremendous help to them in that program, to actually see that they can de-escalate reasons and so forth. Also, I've had firsthand experience helping people from that actual program and helping getting them into their first car after not having credit over 79 years, since 1979. So again, it's having to look at where did they get there, how did they get there, and continuing to fund the social workers that actually looks at that. Thank you.
Kelly?
Great. So I want to take a bit of a different approach, which is kind of the regional approach to homelessness that we have, which is, we have this agency in King County called the King County Regional Homelessness Authority, which is very, very well funded, actually. But the question is, ensuring that the funding gets to where it needs to go. And we have great organizations in our community like the Garage who need that funding to be able to provide services to, youth who are at risk of homelessness. So I would want to, encourage King County Regional Homelessness Authority to kind of take a holistic look and figure out where are their money best spent. And I think there's a lot we can do to encourage that. One of the other things is that, we should be encouraging person-centered care, making sure that, the folks that are homeless or unhoused in our community get the care that they need. And also, on transitional housing, the reason we had to close the Motel 6 program was actually because their ownership changed and the new owners didn't want to deal with it. So our Parks Department actually has found another potential site in Issaquah, and so I'm really excited to continue working with them on this program to make sure we have that resource for our community.
On the subject of homelessness, getting people back into shelter immediately is the best way that we can make sure that this problem does not get worse. So we need to collaborate with the people that actually provide the housing. The city doesn't build the housing. The county doesn't necessarily build the housing, but our nonprofits do. Groups like the Garage, we think that there are 95 students that are homeless in the district. I think it's about 4 times greater than that. Those students go from couch to couch and need to have an opportunity to be in a home that can be steady and supportive for them. So getting those students out of homelessness first is important. And then we also want to make sure that we collaborate with our mental health workers that go out with our police officers to address the homelessness issue right from the beginning with people and offer services to those that are experiencing homelessness in our community. Thank you.
Go ahead, Diogo.
So one of the things that keep me awake at night is thinking about the degree of separation that most American families are away from homelessness, right? I think as our financial or our economy struggles, I wonder how easy it is. I often think how easy it is for us to have a mishap, to have some sort of an unfortunate event that would lead to a situation where we'd be very close to being homeless. And I would like to have that sort of more informed conversation that the homelessness and many mental health issues are externalities. They're externalities of socioeconomic choices that we make as a society, and we have to bear the cost. What I would like to see for our community is one specific measure that I hope we could change is have cross-departmental public safety response to these crises and not just have one solution. Thank you.
Katya?
Thank you. So last year and this year, actually, through Kiwanis, we had wonderful meetings with our Human Services Department and with our park rangers on the subject of homelessness. And the thing is, behind every homeless person, there is a story. There is a personal story why they got themselves into that condition. And it's very hard in some cases to work with people to return them back home or to return them back to the community. So this is very unfortunate that right now the Motel 6 program is closed, but hopefully it's going to be working with the next property. This is one thing. Another thing is, from my research, 70% of our homeless people actually employed 40 hours a week, full-time employed. And this is a very sad statistics, and they live in their cars. So why is that? Because we have a huge house unaffordability issue here, and they simply cannot afford a place to stay. They cannot afford a place to stay closer to their work. And this is something that we really have to work on with our regional authorities as well. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to start with Chris this time. In today's anti-immigrant climate, what steps can be taken to reduce fear and foster a sense of security within our communities?
First, communication. Communication is important because people need to know and staying informed. So, again, having already met and sat with the Issaquah Police Department on the ride along, I did bring that up and ask them about different things like the Home Depot parking lot we used to see the day workers at and the actual other locations where we saw a lot of the immigrants at. And they said they would go out and talk to them and actually encourage them to continue to seek work. So it's again about communicating and informing and actually being, knowledgeable around the other programs and seeking the help that they need to get where they need to go to be, legal. And then also provide those programs that show them how to get the right stuff they need to do, the right steps they need to take, along with providing the jobs, along with providing some of the funding that may be needed for that and the mental health at that. Because then if we don't help them, they're going to become maybe without a home or without a job.
Thank you, Chris. Now, Kelly?
I just want to start by saying that I think the fear that a lot of our immigrant communities are feeling is 100% valid. I mean, I actually doorbelled someone last week who, peered out her window, and this was like heartbreaking. She's like, I'm sorry, I had to look really closely because ICE is just so scary right now. And I mean, my parents were immigrants to the US. For us as a city, it is really hard because our police, they follow the Keep Washington Working Act. They don't, aid and abet ICE, but there's only so much that we can do, right? They can't interfere with the operations of federal officers. One thing I would like to see us do is potentially, at the state level, passing a law like what California passed, which bans, masked secret police, making sure that we're not having, excessive surveillance that can be used for nefarious purposes like targeting immigrants. But honestly, it is a really scary time out there, and we can, inform people about what's happening in Issaquah, but ultimately they see what's happening elsewhere and people are rightly scared.
Our immigrant communities certainly are fearful right now. It's important for the city to continue to be a welcoming community. We had our welcoming event over at the community center recently. It was great to see different groups such as the Circle and the Garage there to welcome immigrants. The Circle in particular is important because it provides language appropriate support for people that Spanish language is their primary language. The city needs to do a better job of supporting these nonprofits so that they can in turn provide services and give the right information to the people seeking those services so that we all feel more welcome in our communities going forward. Thank you.
I would start by saying that silence is contagious, but so is courage. As a legal scholar, it's particularly been disheartening for me to see academic institutions and colleagues all of a sudden become very silent and remove all their DEI signs, their once cherished herald values. So for me, this has been very personal. Also, like Katya, I'm a first-generation immigrant. I've been in the U.S. since 2014. And I choose not to be silent. To answer your question, I think as a community, what we can do is express solidarity and be vocal, if nothing else, so that people know that they're not alone. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, as a first generation immigrant and as someone who's working daily with people who came from different countries of the world, including U4U programs and people who are now running from Russian suppression, I can tell you that fear goes very deep. Fear goes even to me, that I'm a naturalized citizen for years. When events like this happening, I feel the fear. And it's not only for the community, but also for myself. But in terms of community, what we have to do, there is a lot of misinformation that is happening, and there is a lot of fear mongering that is happening. So as a city, it's really important for us, it's very important for us to actually find the ways to be a source of reliable information for our immigrants on how they can deal with the situation that we currently have, because otherwise they have nobody to trust, and we can be that source of trust, and we have to be a source of trust. Thank you.
I think one of the very best things that our city could do to better help our immigrant community and better help provide services is to work better with some of the awesome nonprofits that are out there that are doing this job very efficiently every single day and doing this hard work. I also am very fond of the Circle as an excellent organization that does this. For those of you that aren't familiar, the Circle is a community navigation organization. They provide legal aid. They even bring toiletries to people in detention centers. They're helping to help the people in these situations who need it the most. There's more that the city can do to help them. The things that I've heard when talking to most nonprofits in the area is that they need space. The city could be a better provider of space. It could be providing leases. It can be providing assistance. The Circle has asked for space right next door, basically. And that's something that it's a concrete thing that I think the city could do to help out in a dramatic and very trying time.
All right, candidates, you will be happy to hear that I have the last question for you tonight. So the question is, what can and will you do as an elected official to destigmatize, educate, and advocate for mental illness services? So you please include in your response support for additional services for additional resources for diversion services that offer options other than sending people to jail. All right, so let's see, I think it's Chris. No. Oh, excuse me, Kelly. I have it on my paper too.
Great, thank you. So I think there's two questions. One is, about the destigmatization, then what other additional services would provide. So for me personally, I haven't been necessarily as open, but I will be open now. I've had experiences, with mental health. During the pandemic, I got sent to the ER because I basically had a mental breakdown. And so this is something that's actually really personal to me. And so, it's something that I'm really passionate about and want to work for. I think one thing in terms of mental health care that our region really needs, and actually voters in King County have approved, is crisis care centers. The first one has been built in Kirkland. There's one potentially that's going to be built in the East region, which includes Issaquah. There's actually a really great site in Issaquah, former medical center, possibly former Swedish, next to the highway, that I think would be a great site. And so I'm really looking forward to, working with the county, working with crisis care center providers, which I've already met with a few of them, to actually make that a reality in Issaquah so that we can provide these services both in our community and to the broader region.
This is a big issue to kind of tackle. Many of you know that I used to be a prosecutor. I was the municipal court judge here on a pro tem basis. I've seen that putting people in jail does not work in terms of addressing mental health issues. What does work is the community coming together to support those that are experiencing the challenges at the moment. Friends of Youth and the Garage both provide counseling for youth in our community to help them meet the challenges of our difficult times. They're facing not only the things that we grew up in high school, but there are 6 or 7 different things that hit them every day that we didn't have to deal with. So it's very important that we support these organizations with funding, space, and also make sure that the staff feel that they are welcomed and supported by our city staff and those in the community that are willing to step up and serve with them. Thank you.
This is another topic that's very dear to me. It's not my story, so I won't disclose it But neurodivergence is something that I have had to learn a lot about, and I have actually took those learnings and developed workshops for my colleagues at Cornell Law School who had never even heard of the term, to implement them pedagogically in their day-to-day lessons. I do not think that neurodivergence or mental health is a problem that we can or should ever solve with through criminal law or through any sort of judicial and police solution. It's a something that we can and should solve together with compassion, understanding, and a sense of inclusion. Thank you.
Thank you. As someone who's working with the families and children of all of the backgrounds for the past 30 years, I can tell you that, yes, I have students who are neurodivergent, and I have had situations of the mental breakdowns personally or with my students, because it's a tough career to run a competitive dance studio. But the biggest thing is to actually not stigmatize it and to educate families and to educate the community on the importance of mental health issues and on the importance of resolving of mental health problems. This is one thing. Another thing that I'm really passionate about, and I really like that here in the city, we have a human services department that comes in a case of like someone's mental breakdown before the police comes, and it actually helps resolve a lot of issues before they can escalate to a criminal activity. And so I think this is a really great achievement for our city. Thank you.
I'd like to take a look at the things that are working best and double down on them. And when I see what's working best in our community, I can think of three things. First, our nonprofits. As Councilmember Joe brought up, the Garage. Great organization, needs more help, does a ton of community support in the mental health space in particular, and it's something that we should figure out as a community how to support better. Secondly, our co-response model. Our police officers are well funded to have additional support who are not armed officers that can go with them in many situations. There's many circumstances where an armed officer can do a much better job, and it's going to be a lot happier and more effective if they have mental health professionals by their side to help out, to assist, and to make that situation end well for everybody and to connect those people with care. And then finally, our community court. For those of you that aren't familiar with community court, this is a program that instead of punishment seeks to connect people with minor offenses into care that can help them get back on their feet, connect them with services, and connect them with the care that they need to rehabilitate themselves within the community and be the best part of it.
Go ahead, Chris.
All right. So what I would add, just to get started, would be actually the mental health counselors that are provided to the Issaquah Police Department, specifically during the weekend. Right now, they don't work on the weekend. They only work Monday through Friday. So I would specifically advocate to have that added because it is needed on the weekend because they get the most calls on the Saturday and Sundays. And I know that by doing the ride along that I did with the Issaquah Police Department. Second, I echo what Russell Joe said and Kevin. Continue to support our nonprofits that continue to give us our support, like Friends of Youth, the Teen Garage. You know, with their social work, they do amazing jobs with our youth, and that's what's going to turn to be our future. And without their help and support in the community, our youth are just not going to have anything to do, or they're not going to know where to go and what to do when they have a time of crisis. So I would look to also continue to support those foundations to a level that makes sense within a budgetary, situation like we're in. Also, the impact and the actual sustainability to continue to maintain our mental health of our community. And again, I would look to support that with the mental health counselors that we already have, and just add to that extra actual support across the board. Thank you.
Thank you, candidates. Thank you for agreeing to come tonight and for agreeing to serve Issaquah. Good luck to each of you as you complete your campaigns over the next few weeks.
We will now take a short break while we prepare to meet the candidates for the Issaquah School Board. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Before we begin this part of the candidate forum, a few housekeeping rules. Please silence your phones. We ask that you hold your applause until the end of the forum. Also, please be aware that you may hear remarks from the candidates in which you disagree. This forum is not for the audience to refute what is said by the candidates. Please be an informed voter and do your own fact-checking in making your decisions. So now, let's meet the candidates for Issaquah School Board. The candidates are District 2, Natalie Anderson, and Chinmay Nagarkar. For District 4, the candidates are Sydney Mullins, and her opponent is Mark Thomas Lazara, and we do not see Sydney's opponent, so it will just be the three of you. We will use the same format as earlier. There will be 2-minute opening statements from each candidate. During the question and answer period, each candidate will have 1 minute for responses. There will not be a rebuttal. Our timer is Kathleen Friedman. She's seated here in the front. She will raise the warning when 15 seconds remain and a stop signal when time is up. Questions have been formulated by the organizing committee and gathered from the community. The candidates have not been given the questions in advance. We may choose to ask a follow-up question. We will alternate who will respond first to a question. In order to keep the forum friendly, we will use only first names going forward. So now we will begin our 2-minute opening statements, starting with Natalie.
Thank you to the Kiwanis Club and Issaquah of Issaquah and the AAUW for inviting us here today. My name is Natalie, and I am a Washington native. I grew up in Woodinville and graduated from the North Shore School District. I'm a senior manager in quality in the aerospace industry, and I've been with my company for almost 22 years. I lead with data, strategy, and collaboration to drive meaningful outcomes. The same mindset guides my work in education, where I believe every decision should be student-centered, transparent, and grounded in equity. I'm a proud parent of 2 children in the Issaquah School District, a 1st grader and a 5th grader, and our school is located in Renton. This gives me a personal stake in the success of our schools. Over the past 5 years, I've volunteered extensively, serving as director of ongoing programs for my PTA, acting as an art docent, chairing the science fair, organizing Watchdogs, our Eagle Reader free book program, and supporting the variety show, among other initiatives. These experiences have given me a deep understanding of the needs of our students, teachers, and families. I'm not just showing up, I have been showing up. I've built relationships, listened to concerns, and advocated for programs that make a difference. I'm running because I believe our district needs thoughtful, forward-thinking leadership that reflects the diversity and values of our community. I'm committed to ensuring every student feels safe, supported, and empowered to succeed. I'm honored to be endorsed by 9 organizations, including the Washington Education Association and the Issaquah Education Association, which represents our over 1,200 students across the district. I've also earned the endorsements of 20 leaders in our community, including our state senator, state representatives, city council members in Issaquah, Sammamish, Newcastle, and Renton. Their support reflects the values that I bring to this role: integrity, transparency, and a deep belief in the potential of every student.
Chinmay? Oh, you'll have to press the button. Yes,
This
thank
one?
you.
Okay.
When it lights
Can
up.
you hear me now? All right. Thank you for organizing this, to the committees and the City Hall. My name is Chinmay, and I'm running for Board Director, Issaquah School District, Position 2. I moved to this district from Bellevue in 2012 for the schools because they have a great reputation. And my daughter had special needs, and she still has. And she graduated from Liberty High School after going through Newcastle and Maywood. and got a scholarship in Seattle U. I give a lot of the credit for that success to the teachers of the Issaquah School District. Fantastic job. At the same time, 2 years ago, when my son started middle school, I noticed that standards had fallen. More than half the kids in middle school do not read or do math at grade level proficiency. When I dug in further, I found that high school test scores are falling. Bullying has doubled in the last year from 18 to 32 physical intimidation incidents. Bullying, that cyberbullying, has gone up tenfold in just the last year. So I decided to run after talking to other families who have gone through challenges as well. And so here I am. I'm a Stanford educated technologist with a 25-year career at Google. And I feel like perhaps we need a change. We need to bring more focus on outcomes and less on operations. We need to make sure that there is more transparency so that the public knows what the school district is doing and how things are progressing in a better direction. We need to make sure that diversity is considered a strength and not an excuse for the outcomes falling. And I bring that diversity, it's in my blood, and I think that I can make a difference to this school district. Thank you.
Hi, thank you for having me tonight. I am Sydney Mullings, and it has been my honor to serve on the Issaquah School Board since my appointment in 2019 and 2 subsequent elections. A bit about me, I'm an Issaquah resident, having moved to Issaquah in 2014. I'm the parent of 2 Issaquah School District students, one actually now thriving in college and one that is in high school. So it's been my pleasure to watch them go through their entire time in our district. Certainly it's given me a perspective on how it all works. Professionally, I have over 25 years of leadership experience in corporate America, and I'm currently a general manager at Microsoft. In the community, I have 2 decades of nonprofit board service, including currently also sitting on the board of a local nonprofit focused on underserved youth in the South Sound. I was drawn to into the work of the district back in 2019 as I got engaged in volunteering for a group looking at inequities in discipline across our district. I thought that was a really important topic, helped introduce me to the work and encourage me to go further. I've stayed because we've had a focus on a number of areas, including that one, but also on ensuring high academic standards, ensuring strong fiscal management, and improving the engagement with our community. We've seen incredible successes in that time period, including rising test scores, including us closing gaps we incurred during the pandemic, and now getting to see student performance reaching pre-pandemic levels. But there's obviously more to do, and that's the work I'm here to do on your behalf. So thank you.
Thank you. We're going to start with our first question, and Chinmay, you're first. As federal budgets strip resources, how can the community step in to continue free breakfasts and lunches in schools?
I think one of my discoveries as I looked into how the district is run is that the way we do budgeting is what I would call operational budgeting. And the way we set goals, we call them operational expectations for the superintendent. In other words, we have a budget that says, here are the line items, and here is how much we are going to spend on each line item. However, we don't know which line items are going to produce what outcomes and by what amount. And so we need to move to an outcome-based model where we have outcome expectations for the district and the superintendent, and we have an outcome-oriented budget. Now, in terms of meals, for instance, we need to make sure there are goals set for outcomes for nutrition and make sure that we fund that first, because without a full stomach, you're not going to learn anything, and safety and academics doesn't matter. So that's how I will prioritize funding and spending. Thank you.
Thank you. Sydney?
Thank you. You know, one of the things that's critically important as we look at how do we educate our students is what their well-being is. And so are they well fed? Are they well cared for? Do they have the right supports? And so certainly that's something that's incredibly important of the work of the board and the work we all do together as a community. While it's unfortunate that we see instability in funding from our federal sources, maybe this is one of those times it's great that it's the smallest funding source of the district. It allows us to be cushioned a bit from that volatility. We still get the vast majority of our funding from the state and then obviously local donors. As we look at things like special services, one of the ways we've tried to manage rising costs as well as other issues is through key partnerships. So we are happy to partner with our PTSAs. We're happy to partner with Issaquah Schools Foundation to use their help in augmenting the budget for our schools and to ensure that our kids are always well fed.
I hate that I have to follow Sydney. So anything to do with federal budgeting, I know that the school district has to fill in the gaps. There is some schools already right now that 30% of the students are applying and receiving free lunches and free breakfasts. And so, the school district is already budgeting for that. And I think it's a matter of prioritizing that and making sure that we're able to fund that if it's a necessity, along with all the other things that we're worried about being yanked from the school district by the federal government. So it's a matter of prioritizing that and working with the schools to identify where that need is needed.
For this question, we're going to start with Sydney. What are your thoughts on efforts to suppress or alter the teaching of history?
I think it's a terrible idea. I can start there, full stop. I think what's really important is that we are here to educate our kids. We're here to make sure they have a full and robust learning environment. We're here to trust our teachers as the professionals that they are, who are deeply dedicated to making sure that our kids have the best foundation, not just academically, but also in life. And that includes being well-rounded, being well-aware. So I think those efforts are misplaced and really have no place for us here in the district.
Yeah, it's very concerning. I was talking to one of my healthcare providers yesterday, and she was saying that down in Texas, where her children are, they're going to start teaching about Christopher Columbus conquering America. And it terrifies me. I think that, we will do our best to make sure that things like that don't happen here in our district and in our state, but other parts of the country are going to suffer, unfortunately. So I'm definitely not in support of, suppressing any of changing history or rewriting things to make America look better.
So what are the goals of school anyway? When you leave school, when you graduate, you want to make sure that kids are full of hope and they feel empowered to succeed in life. That's the goal of school. When you teach history, I think we shouldn't be canceling history, but we should certainly always look at whether we are creating a feeling that we are empowering kids to look at history and avoid repeating the mistakes of the past. Or are we telling them that if this has happened in the past, there is no way to change it and that you have to perpetually either apologize or feel that you've been slighted? And so that sense of perpetual apology is hopeless, and that sense of perpetually feeling slighted is powerless and removes agency from the kids. And that leads to the end of creativity. And I think that what we need to do is empower kids with history instead of hobble them. And whether the federal government says this or that, we should always follow this principle. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question, Natalie, you'll start. What can be done to reduce absenteeism or tardiness at schools?
Well, when it comes to absentee and tardiness, a lot of times it's reflected back into the family and what's going on in the home life. I think that the school district currently takes surveys to find out about the well-being of students and what's happening. And I think that that's important information to look at the data and try to understand what are some resources and things that we can help provide to reduce, and some of it's health related too. I know that my daughter has some students that are regularly sick and are missing school, and I think that that's something to look into as well. But definitely, it's a matter of providing resources and seeing if there's any impact that's occurring from a home life.
So I think that we should take responsibility as the school district to solve the problems that the school district can solve when it comes to tardiness. And so, for example, in Skyline High School, I've heard there are classes, and I've heard accounts in other schools where there are 60 to 80 students. A lot of students report, and by the way, I have hit 4,500 doors myself and talked to 2,000 more parents and their kids sometimes. And kids are bored in school. They don't go to school because they're very good and they're bored, or they don't go because they're not learning anything and they feel bored for that reason, and they're not following through with what's going on. So in either case, you've got the best and the kids who are not doing so well, not going to school. And we need to make sure that our academic programs are interesting, that we listen to the kids. 4 out of 10 kids in Issaquah High School say that they don't feel comfortable speaking in the classroom. I mean, we need to make sure kids are welcome, then they will come. Otherwise, they won't.
We have a very robust process within the school board working across the district to understand performance in every building. It's called our Improvement Program Reviews, or SIPs, we do each year. We meet with building leaders in every building and we talk about how our kids doing, and we look at that year over year. One of the things we consistently discuss in those sessions is absenteeism and what are each building doing about that. It is actually a really important conversation to hear from those building leaders, as they will report things like family instability, homelessness issues, or home instability. Some kids have homes periodically, other issues that we need to be sensitive to, like kids who are not eating, or kids who may not be able to be properly prepared for the day or be able to complete their homework at home. So there's actually a number of things that are done today in order to help with some of those known instability problems, including making sure that proactive calls are going out when students dip under that 90% mark for attendance.
For this next question, we'll start with Natalie. Did I? Oh, we are. Oh, my goodness. Yes, right. We don't have a, this is, sorry. Okay. All right. So what is the current policy in place for cell phone usage in schools? Is it enforced? Why or why not?
Yeah, so I believe that my understanding is like Maywood has a pretty strong policy, for example. Other schools are more lax. So there isn't a, my understanding is that there is a district-wide policy. But let me address a broader point. I think that we need to make sure that schools in general are distraction-free for students. When students go to school, they want to pay attention to the other classmates, to the teacher, to what's going on in the hallways. They don't want to watch their phone while they're walking through the corridors. They shouldn't be playing a game while the teacher is teaching math because there's a calculator on their laptop. No. We need to make sure that kids pay attention to the world around them in a focused way so they learn from it. And without that focus, we will never be able to catch their attention, teach them anything, or keep them engaged so that they come to school on a regular basis and feel excited about coming to school. Thank you.
The answer to your question is yes. Is there a district-wide policy on the use of cell phones? That answer is yes. That policy varies by level for the differing maturity of the students based on age. So in general, I'll describe it as off and away for the day, and that means slightly different things depending on how old the students are. How well is that going? hey, some students, and I have my own, aren't thrilled about it, and they will rebel against that policy. It unfortunately can be a big distraction for teachers in the classroom. I think this year, with having a consistent policy across all buildings, that helps staff enforce them consistently and helps kids know what to expect.
Okay, Natalie?
So the answer is yes. It's Regulation 3245 that was implemented in August. I was going to also state that it's off and away for K through 5 and silence and stowed for 6 through 12. And I am really glad that this policy was implemented. I'm a little torn because I'm a technology person, and I think that there are ways that technology can be used in the schools in a positive way, and it's not going away. We're going to have technology, and we need to implement it into our everyday lives. But I think right now, it is such a distraction with social media and whatnot. I know some of the high schools also piloted it last year, and there was one high school that had over 900 infractions. And so it is a problem. It's something that everyone's going to have to get used to. But yeah, that's.
Thank you. The next question, we're going to start with Sydney. Issaquah prides itself on a strong sense of local community. Should funding for an election, in this case a school board race, come from any source? I.e., should funding be only local, or is it appropriate for outside the school district state fundraising? Why?
That's a super interesting question. I don't take any money out of school district. I don't know why one would. I'm going to concede that maybe there's reasons that are unclear to me, or maybe motives that are unclear to me. I think that in a district, especially ours, which is 110 square miles, that's a lot of people, a lot of different communities. And if you're really to be representing the folks in the district, then I would think that's a pretty large group to be gathering support from. So I can speak to my personal practices and my personal motivations, and those are about here in this district. And frankly, I would ask questions when that funding comes from other sources.
Yeah, this is an interesting question, and it's something that's come up recently with my campaign. We very proudly have received 83% of my campaign funds from inside the school district, as opposed to my opponent who's 39% inside the school district. This is all public on pdc.wa.org. I also am only 6% self-funded, while my opponent is 37% self-funded. I think that outside interests are very concerning. 11% of my opponent's funds have come from out of state, and that is worrisome because then you have to ask, what is the agenda there? My campaign is powered by teachers who work with kids every day, with parents worried about class sizes and mental health, and neighbors who want leadership that brings people together, not divide them. Thank you.
My opponent, since she brought it up, is endorsed by the teachers union and a lot of big politicians in Issaquah. And I was talking to a doctor today, a rich guy, and he said to me that, you know what, we need to fix things, but if I come out in the open about an issue that I have with my kid in school, I'm afraid that there will be retaliation against me, and I cannot do it. So can you please send an email to the principal of the Issaquah High School for me? I've had many people tell me that, can we do like an online thing where my name doesn't show up? And I've said no, because we have to follow the rules, and we have to publish all the names and numbers. I've had, I know there are Reddit posts out there which have outed people for donating to my campaign and said, hey, take a look at this, like these are the people that we need to go after. So there's a lot of danger in supporting candidates who are not supported by the establishment or the special interests or the existing people in power. Thank you.
For this question, we will start with Natalie. What are your thoughts on the use of AI tools in education?
Yeah, well, as I said before, I'm kind of a technology snob or junkie. There's a lot of great things that AI can be used for, but obviously when it comes to our students' education, we have to be very careful about that. Did you ask about if there are policies? Sorry.
No, I just asked,
Okay,
what are
just
your
my
thoughts on
opinion.
the use of the tools in education?
Thank you. So, the use in education, there are some benefits to having some AI, but in education, we kind of just need to go back to the basics of how we're learning and how we're teaching. I guess that's my opinion on that.
Jinmei?
Me? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, AI is interesting. AI is the sum total of all human knowledge, and it's the sum total of all human ignorance. So you can use it or abuse it or misuse it. What we need to understand is that there is no way to replace teachers in the classroom with AI. That's the bottom line. It's an interactive process of constantly judging and gauging the student and interaction and experience and expression. On the other hand, there are a lot of back office jobs that are going to go away. Desk jobs are going to go away because of AI, whether it's in tech or in bureaucracy, in district administration perhaps. And that's inevitable with time. More importantly, I would say for our students, AI is empowering. I have built many tools for my son that let him, for instance, put in a couple of paragraphs from Alice in Wonderland, and it generates multiple choice reading comprehension questions for him that are grade appropriate. I've given him tools for mathematics and other subjects. It's a wonderful teaching tool for teachers. Thank you.
Sydney?
AI is a lot of things, and maybe this is my day job, but there's a number of components to what AI is. There are incredible advantages when you talk about in a district for the leveraging of AI. Certainly the use in business operations and including in gaining efficiencies, in taking the drudgery out of the day job for many of the adults in the system who have lots of repetitive tasks they have to do. As it relates to students, I think we have to be careful about being fearful of AI, and similarly to where curriculum had to change when we got calculators. When we got calculators, students could do more. So yes, the learning process will evolve and it will change. I think that will be for the better and allow our students to move forward. But it is a change in the system and how we'll work. And I think if all the adult parties work together, we can figure out a way to get all of the advantages out while providing some safeguards. And I think, maybe there'll be more in-class work for our students versus what they might do at home.
Thank you. Next question. Recognizing the importance of educators' voice, what methods will you employ to ensure this perspective is gathered and factored into your decision-making? We're going to start with Chinmay.
Can you repeat the question? I didn't
Yes.
understand it.
Recognizing the importance of the educator voice, what methods will you employ to ensure this perspective is gathered and factored into your decision-making?
In general, my focus and my tenets are start with outcomes we can all agree on. Then make sure that we hold the district accountable, starting with the superintendent and down to the classroom, followed by transparent tracking of the progress towards those outcomes. And then finally, constant improvement. So when it comes to teachers and educators, we need to find out what are their concerns with respect to professional development, prep time, safety and unruliness in the classroom, and how can we measure some of these metrics so that we can set goals for the superintendent to improve on those metrics. In terms of the soft stuff, I think that teachers need to be honored. We need to bring back the notion that teachers need to be respected in the classroom, and that is sorely missing right now. Kids don't respect teachers as they used to. So those are some of the things, soft and hard things, that we need to work on. Thank you.
I think there's a number of ways in the work of the district to make sure we're keeping educator voice top of mind. Certainly, there's opportunities that we've taken over the last couple of years in things like town halls and listening sessions specifically for staff and for teachers. I personally really love to see the teachers listed on anytime we have task forces or oversight committees, because that's a critical voice inside the work we're doing. I think it's critical to talk to our neighbors that are teachers. In my case, I know not for everyone, but in my case, my kids all have teachers. And so it's important in talking to them and understanding what's going on in the classroom and what's important to them in the overall working of the district. I will also say I'm incredibly proud to be endorsed by our teachers. I think that is an important voice in saying, hey, this is someone who's doing the right thing by our entire system. And I guess I bristle by thinking about it in any other way.
Yeah, this board position is a representative of our community, our students, and especially our teachers. And I'm also proud to have the Issaquah Education Association endorsement. You know, Chime mentioned the hard and soft. I think a lot of it is the soft. It's the relationship building. There's a number of teachers that are here today that I've built relationships with over the last 6 months, and that's really important to me. And those are the people that I'll be thinking about with that endorsement to every board meeting if I'm elected. But I think it's about, as Sydney mentioned, having those town halls and those opportunities to have that back and forth conversation. It's accessibility. If a teacher reaches out, being able to respond and, you know, thoughtfully and hear them and the struggles that they're having. I have a teacher that I'm friends with at my daughter's school because she's, you know, friends with her daughter. And, you know, she tells me all the time some of her struggles, and I take that with me and would be something that I would definitely want to address.
For this question, we're going to start with Sydney, and it is a multi-part question, so I am happy to repeat the question. Does the school board have a plan of action if ICE officers arrive on the school's campus? If yes, what is the plan? Do you agree with it? Why or why not?
That was multiple parts. And your question was the school board have a plan?
Well, probably more the school district.
Okay.
So, but the school board, right,
So
has their opinion and action on
yeah, I'll
what
bring
that
that
should
in the-
be. Yes, thank you.
Well, I'll bring my opinion in that question. So does the school district have a plan? In the state of Washington, we welcome and serve all the students who come to us. That is the law, and that is the plan. So I think that's first and foremost. Do I support that? 100%. Was there another part?
So I will repeat the whole thing, all right?
It may be still that short of an answer, but
Right,
let's see.
it may be, okay.
Yeah.
Does the school district have a plan of action if ICE officers arrive on the school's campus? If yes, what is the plan? Do you agree with it? Why or why not?
Oh, so what I will add is there are protocols and procedures for all folks who arrive at a school building, how they are greeted and how they are treated in our buildings. That is operational procedure in every building. That's a part of the school safety protocol. And as I will repeat, I 100% support that we welcome every student in our district into our buildings.
So Sydney answered the question that yes, there is protocol. I personally am aware of this because being a PTA board member, we were discussing with our principal because the superintendent contacted all the schools to talk about the policy. And as PTA board members who run programs and events, we had to know what the protocol was and how to handle if ICE showed up during a PTA event. I absolutely agree with Sydney. We need to protect all of our students and families in our district. And if I know what to do, if I showed up at a PTA event, we would contact our principal and our superintendent to take action.
Chinmay?
Yeah, you know what? Crazy things are happening right now. And nobody can tell what's going to happen next, and we have to be prepared. And I'm glad that there's a policy. One of the things, now I'm not on the board, so I can't tell you if the school district is doing something because some of these things have to be kept private, right? You can't tell people about it. I think that my approach would be that in any event or any organization that I'm part of, that I know who's in it and what their status is, and I proactively make sure that the right authorities are aware so that we don't have some kind of a raid and some kind of a traumatic experience for people in a gathering just because we want to make a statement about our position or our ideology. The first thing that we need to do is protect the kids in the schools and the teachers and make sure that they do not have to go through a traumatic experience. And whatever needs to be done to protect them, I will do that first. Thank you.
That's the end of our questions, and now we'll do our 1-minute closing statement by each candidate, and we're going to start with Natalie.
So in recent weeks, there have been attempts on social media to distort my words and undermine my messaging in an effort to distract and divide. That's not leadership, and our children deserve a better role model. Let me be clear, school board director responsibilities can be learned. Character can't be taught. I lead with integrity, not outrage. I'm open-minded, forward-thinking, collaborative, and driven by heart. I stand for inclusion, equitability, and unwavering support for all students because any child and every child deserves to be seen, feel safe, and valued. I am not a one-issue candidate, and I am more than just a PTA mom. I'm committed and dedicated community leader, and I've been a leader my entire life. I will continue to listen, advocate, and lead with integrity and transparency for all students, because that's the kind of leadership that our community deserves. I respectfully ask for your vote by or before November 4th. Thank you.
This is an important election, in many ways a unique one. I believe in transparency, and I believe that the school district and the public should see what's going on in the district and hold the leadership accountable. And by that token, I apply the same principle to myself, which is why I've done my best to state my policy positions clearly and openly on my website with videos for every important question. Visit votechinmay.org to learn more, and you will find that I'm not part of the consensus and rubber stamping of failing policies. We need change, in my opinion. We can't go on with the status quo, keep doing the same thing and expect different results. Over the last 5 months, I've knocked on nearly 5,000 doors and spoken with more than 2,000 residents face-to-face. Every few days, I get emails from parents. My voice is going to be your voice. I have the people behind me, and so I ask for your vote in the election, a vote for Chinmay, and talk to your friends to do the same. Thank you very much.
What's really important to me is that we have exceptional educational experience for all students, and that is each and every one of our students. That is the work of my life and on this school board. So my hope is to continue to serve this district in ensuring that we look at all aspects of how we can best serve every one of our children, how we can make sure that we're creating an experience for them, for our staff, and for our families that is welcoming and that is inclusive, and how we are creating the experiences that make all of our children wildly successful in their futures. So I humbly ask for your vote, and you can also visit votesydney.com to learn more.
Thank you, candidates. Thank you for agreeing to come tonight and for agreeing to serve the Issaquah School District. Good luck to each of you as you complete your campaigns over the next few weeks. The City of Issaquah's IT department and staff have recorded tonight's forum to be replayed until the election. The recording can be found on City Channel 21, streamed on the city's website, and available on the city's YouTube channel. Please tell your friends to tune in so they too can become informed voters.
As voters, we are reminded by world events that the precious freedom we have in America, the right to vote that guarantees so many other rights, comes through citizen participation. You can make a difference just by being an active, informed voter. Please remember to fill out your ballot and vote by November 4th. Thank you and good night.